Hey guys, I'm CJ of Sweet J Designs. I just wanted to say thank you so much for all of the amazing comments and the appetite that you guys obviously want for videos like this. I could not believe I got that many likes and that many comments in that short amount of time. So thank you for absolutely everyone who commented, liked it, loved it. I appreciate you. A little bit about me before we dive in. I've been crafting for almost a year and a half now. I was crafting with epoxy for about 8 months when I started getting really bad migraines. I was having breathing problems and something just didn't feel right. And I never even realized how many other people were experiencing this until I saw all of the other not YouTube stars, but YouTube crafters also talking about this epoxy. And that's when I found Krystalak. So I am so excited to be on this journey. I am a newbie, but I've seen comments, I've seen videos. I've definitely been loving trying it, been loving the product. So hopefully I'll be able to help all you other newbies and we can rock this together. Okay. So on this channel, I am going to be doing Tumbler tutorials. Those are going to upload on Tuesday, and then I'm going to be doing price breakdowns, and those are going to update on Thursday. I am going to also be going over mistakes that I have made, things to be on the lookout for, and really cool products that I just find along the way that I think every crafter could use. So obviously, this is my first YouTube channel, but I have watched enough YouTube to know this is where I tell you, hey guys, please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that like button below, hit some comments. I'd love to reach out and talk to any of you. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on YouTube, on Facebook, however you can reach me. And then I also just want to make sure I tell everyone watching, I'm going to be talking about my own experience. Everyone's experience is going to be different, where you buy products, how much you buy the products for, all of that. So please know this is just what is going on for me. And I have an Excel spreadsheet made up. If maybe you have different prices and you kind of want to see how you're faring, I don't mind emailing that to you or coming up with one together with you that more suits your needs. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to jump into my price breakdown of a Tack tumbler. So this is going to be my Tack tumbler. It is so hard to get a good picture of how amazingly beautiful this is. It is gorgeous. It is shiny. It is glass-like. I'm just amazed at how this turned out. So to properly do the breakdown, I bought a weight from Amazon. It was $12. And I knew since I was going to be using it a lot, it was a good investment for me. When I first get any kind of container, so these are the containers that all of my Krystalak products are in. So I weigh the empty containers and I put those in my Excel spreadsheet. Then if I end up using all of the containers, I can always subtract that out later. At least I know what that weight is going to be. I also put together a spreadsheet that listed all of my products in terms of fluid ounces, regular ounces, the prices that I paid for them, so the price that it was an ounce. For the Krystalak products, I bought the pints, so that is how I personally did the price. If you buy the bigger amount, you are going to save. So just for instance, for BT, which is bright tone, it is $35 for a pint, which comes out to about $2.18 an ounce. For the quart, it is $49.50, bringing it to $1.54 an ounce. And for the $126 gallon, it's 98 cents an ounce. So it goes down way under $1, okay? And then for EP, which is the Extreme Protection, it's $23 for a pint, which is $1.43 an ounce. It is $31 for a quart, so 96 cents an ounce, and it is 80 for a gallon, so 62 cents an ounce. So that is a huge difference on both of them. So if you have that extra money and you're debating this and you're like, I really want to hit it, I love this product, I have the money, buy the gallons, because you are going to save over time, make more profit, make more money. You might as well do it. So firstly, we're going to get started. I bought my tumbler from Amazon. Also, just to throw this in, I am not affiliated with any companies, but you will hear Amazon a lot just because I'm obsessed West, and that's where I buy most of my stuff. Free 2-day shipping, how can you not? So this tumbler came from Amazon. I knew that my Krystalak products were going to be there super soon, and so I knew that I wanted to get something fast. So I wasn't able to pay the bulk prices, unfortunately. Now the good thing is this does come with a metal straw and a straw cleaner. So I could either A, upgrade that on my Etsy shop. So instead of just doing a 30 ounce, I could do 30 ounce with metal straw. I could keep them for myself, or I could just give it away with the tumbler anyway. I also love that it came in a box because I now don't have to buy a box for shipping. So usually my sweet spot is between $6 and $8.50 for a tumbler. This one was $10.99. I know. That's a lot. So starting off, we're already starting kind of high. So that's what I mean, that these prices can fluctuate, okay? So secondly, I valued my sandpaper. This is just sandpaper that I got through the Krystalak shop, but because I had never personally used it, I don't know how many uses I'm gonna get. So I did 10 uses, and so every time I used this sandpaper, I did 30 cents. And then this is another price that could be just like the tumbler. It could fluctuate. If I get 50 uses of it, that 30 cents becomes way cheaper, 4 cents, 2 cents, something like that. So then I would be able to break that down even lower and save that money per tumbler as well. Now I did get a comment on Facebook which asked to explain the reason behind the steps, which I absolutely love because you were totally right, and I would have honestly never thought about it without you. So big shout out to Naomi for the amazing suggestion. So the reason you want to sand the cup when you're first starting out is so that the Krystalak has something to stick to. The stainless steel is good, but it when you sand it, it kind of like makes those grits, those like lines in it, that the Krystalak can seep into and start hardening. So that's why you want to rough it up so it has a better surface sticking. All right, so in advance, I'm doing a price breakdown about weights, and I totally forgot to weigh the first item. So my ultra white, which let's just talk about how gorgeous this color is. The black gloss is the same way. It is just so pretty. So I forgot to weigh it. And then I just honestly put a little bit in one of those black containers that I got with the Krystalak as well. I put a drop of the number 2. This comes with the tumbler kit off of the Krystalak store. I used so little of this that it didn't even show up on the scale. So I ended up marking it 0.01 just so that I could use something. So after I mixed it, I came up with this gorgeous color. These bottles can also be bought on the Krystalak store. And I just used a little funnel that I got from, you guessed it, Amazon. And I just poured it inside. I absolutely love this color, and it dried actually a little darker than this, which I was totally fine with because the color was also gorgeous. Like I said, I forgot to weigh it, but I believe I was somewhere in the 1.5 to 2 ounces range, and I have 0.85 ounces left over. Now I did do 2 coats of that, and when I was putting it on the cup, I got this brush with my tumbler, my tumbler turner when I bought it, and I hadn't ever used it before, so I used it and I did not like it, so I ended up using my Mod Podge brush. I'm gonna recommend this for anything because it gets most of the streaks out and it's just amazing to use. I definitely think it helped, and I would definitely recommend to use it when you apply. So my total for my paint, the 2 coats, was $2.23. Again, that could go way down depending on if I actually was to weigh it. So we're just going with that number. Now that the paint is dried, I'm going to apply the Tack-It. So this is the Tack-It. It's equal parts Tack-It to water. So I put 0.25 Tack-It, so I put 0.25 water, mixed it together. The reason that you want to mix it is because you want to make sure the Tack-It has a good consistency and it doesn't dry too quickly before you can apply the glitter on. After I did the Tack-It, I waited about 5 minutes. I applied my glitter. This is just to show you kind of like the shade it was. I applied it, I rubbed it in. I ended up doing this 2 times because I didn't like how I had some spots in the first one. I probably could have gotten away with it, but I'm a perfectionist, so I was just like, we're doing the second coat. I only used 0.2 ounces of glitter, which I thought was great because the glitter that I bought off of Amazon was 3.5 ounces. So I still have a lot of cups that I can make with this pink glitter. So the total with the glitter and the tacket cost me $1.09. Now I have leftover tacket, I have leftover paint. So if I ever were to make this exact cup or a variant of this cup, now I have kind of that product going into it. So more profit for me on that next cup. Now, since the tacket method leaves the glitter really flat, I did not have to do this smush step that you guys might be seeing everyone talk about. But on my tutorial Tuesday, I definitely am going to be including that smush step so everyone can kind of see what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to be. Afterwards, because the glitter was laying flat and I didn't have to smush, I sprayed my E6000, okay? I do not suggest spraying this inside because I would not want this to get on my furniture. It kind of has like a glue smell. So I suggest spraying it outside anyway. And the reason that you want to spray this is because it helps the Krystalak not repel off. And then it also helps the glitter stay in perfect place when you apply the Krystalak. This step cost me 20 cents. All right, guys, now the fun part. We're going to get into the Krystalak. Before I get into that, I just want to talk about how much I love this product. I cannot say enough how much I love this product. If you're nervous, my biggest suggestion is to jump in, rip off the Band-Aid, because I was also nervous, and after I ripped it off and I started doing it, I fell in love with it. I cannot believe I waited so long. I thought it was great. So yeah. Also, you don't have to worry about, in my opinion, as many mistakes as like epoxy. When you're turning a cup for 8 hours, so many different things can go wrong. I have a cat, so cat hair is a real thing in my life. It gets everywhere, it gets around often, and so many cups of mine were ruined because her cat hair got on it before the epoxy had dried. So with it only being an hour dry time before I can put it in the hang method position, it's amazing. And also, I wanted to say about all the people that have never tried Krystalak before and had also never done the epoxy, you guys, you do not realize the blessing. You never had to smell that awful epoxy smell on your cups in your house for hours or days after you finished. You never had to get the super protective where you had to get like full-on gloves, full-on face mask, like full-on everything. You didn't have to buy the popsicle sticks, the measuring, do the measuring. Like it's such a good thing. So definitely like count that. You don't have to relearn anything. You don't have to get rid of bad habits. Like it's a blessing. So now we're going to talk about my first coat, Extreme Protection. I did label my bottles EP. It's holographic, so it's catching the light wrong. So when I went to apply it, I had heard a lot about people saying they used their fingers. My full-on plan was to at one point try it with my fingers. But when applying epoxy, if you ever got any on your skin, it was a nightmare to try to get off. So I really wanted that to be my very last thing that I did. So again, I tried that little plastic brush, hated it. Then I tried the brush that they actually gave me with my Krystalak order, and I liked it a lot better. But when you do it with your finger, you can kind of feel it. Like when you do it with a brush, it's just like you're brushing something on. You don't necessarily feel how thick the layer is or how thin it is. I used that to apply it, and it cost me 60 cents. I used almost half an ounce. So my second coat was a complete accident. I was moving some stuff to my bedroom and I ended up getting the bottles mixed up. So I ended up applying Bright Tone as my second coat. I didn't realize this obviously until after I was weighing it, and it was weighing way higher than where my Extreme Protection was, and I was like, wait a second. And so that's when I caught that I had done it wrong. It was what it was. At that point, it was already there. I did also use the brush to apply it. I will say that it looked thicker, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought I had put too much on the cup when I was doing it. So this coat cost me 55 cents. Now my third coat, I switched back to Extreme Protection. I had a purpose. I knew I had made a mistake. I wasn't going to let it happen again. Now this time I decided, okay, I'm going to try with my finger. And the way that I applied it is while my turner was spinning, I just did a constant stream. And I just brushed it, first the top half of the cup, and then when I got to the wet surface again, I brushed it the whole length of the cup. So definitely when you're using your finger, you have more control, you feel it. So it only cost me 16 cents to do this one. I used very, very little. I think I used like 0.11 ounces. So it was very tiny. So it's definitely something that you can kind of get a hang of if you're using the brush constantly, if you're using the finger constantly. I do think that you'll get into a rhythm, routine, and you'll be better about it. Okay, so now I did my fourth coat, same process. I fully covered it, and I did go a little thicker because I knew that after this coat I was going to have to sand it. So this coat cost me 36 cents. So now the sanding. Now the reason you want to sand every 3 to 4 coats is to get it as smooth and fine-tuned all the way around. Krystalak does recommend that you sand while using a face mask. I personally did not know that when I was sanding the first time. I think I had heard it, but I didn't think it registered with me. I definitely did use that moving on, but when I did the first time, it didn't necessarily like hinder production, and it didn't make me feel like bad. One thing I will say when using epoxy, when I sanded it, I would never see the difference. And I sometimes could feel the difference, but whenever you were sanding it, it almost felt like it wouldn't change. This cup, it was gritty. I sanded it. It felt amazing. That, like, you could feel the difference completely after 30 seconds. Also, I sanded it and you could see like the dust, which I didn't necessarily think was a bad thing, because as I sanded the whole entire cup, I could see where I'd already been and I could see where I needed to go. So when that was all said and done, I washed my cup. I let it dry. I saw this really cool fact the other day that was after you let your cup dry to take a coffee filter, and that's what you would like wipe it down with, just to make sure there are no the fuzzy things that come off a paper towel. So I loved that. I used that, and then I felt around for the cup to kind of see if I had any problem areas. So these are the areas that I would suggest: the curve, the under the line, and then the bottom. Those are definitely the areas you want to pay the most attention to. Those are where I hit like the second time around, and then I washed it again, I let it dry again, and that was that. So that coat, or that, cost me 30 cents. All right, moving on to my fifth coat. I applied this one the same as previously on the turner, doing the stream with my finger. This coat took me 0.17 ounces and cost me 24 cents. Now in my notes, I actually put that I remember this coat being thick, and so I thought maybe the coats after that were going to end up being thinner. My sixth coat, so this one I also put in my notes that it felt thick, but I did the same thing. 0.18 ounces and it cost me 26 cents. And then I also wrote on my notes about how smooth it felt. So now my seventh coat. I applied it the same way and I used 0.18 ounces and it cost me 26 cents. Deja vu? Yes. So after that coat, I really felt like I had hit my stride. And then I also really kind of understood that a lot of the times when people talk about how many coats they're using, it's going to be their preference. It's going to be how they're feeling. When I felt that cup on that seventh coat, I was like, oh, this is almost done. Like, this feels good. It's not gritty. It's awesome. Like, I'm not going to need to do too much more of this. I remember when I was doing that coat, I actually thought, okay, I'm going to sand it afterwards, so let's put it a little thicker, and I still use the same amount. Just do how it feels, and if you're like, oh yeah, this feels thick, it could be the exact same. Like, you just have to wait and see how you're feeling it. So now I'm going to sand for the last time, because I know after this I'm going to start putting the bright tone on it, and I'm going to do 2 to 3 coats of that, and then that's going to give it that glass-like finish. That cost me 30 cents. Now I'm on my 8th coat. This is when I use the first round of bright tone for real, because I know what it is now. So I put it on thick. I did the same exact process, but after I finished spreading it out, I did it again. And I will say that there is a significant difference when you are using your finger and you can physically touch it. The Extreme Protection is more watery, and the bright tone has a little bit more resistance and is thicker. This cost me 61 cents, and I used 0.28 ounces. After it dried, I felt it, and I remember thinking, like, this doesn't even need another coat. I did it anyway just to like make sure it was all set and good, but honestly, it didn't even need it. This is also the coat that made me like take that really big sigh of relief. That was like, I didn't have to measure anything. I didn't have to deal with a horrible smell. Yes, there is a very slight smell with Bright Tone if you get really close to the turner or if you bring your finger kind of like close to your face after you're applying it, but it doesn't like last. I remember when I was doing epoxy cups, if you like smelt the cups days later, it would still smell like epoxy. You will not get that problem with this. And my house, like, it smelled great. I'm putting on my last coat. Again, I'm doing it thick because I'm like, this is my last one. Like, I didn't even really need this one, so I'm not doing another one. So I ended up using the same exact amount, 0.28 ounces, and it cost me 61 cents. When it fully dried, it looked amazing. It sounded amazing. I thought it was beautiful, and I was like, okay, we're done. So now I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to let you know how we fared. So after adding it all together, this cup cost me $19.11. I'm going to go ahead and round that up to 20 because say I posted on Etsy, I'm going to have listing fees, I'm going to have miscellaneous stuff. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and cover that. So now I have 89 cents towards miscellaneous. Now I'm going to add a wage for myself. I pay myself $15 per cup because that's almost what I make outside of crafting, and you need to know your value. So when I was doing epoxy cups, I would underbid myself. I would be like, oh yeah, basically have it for free, have some more for free, have this giant coupon that basically makes it free, because I didn't realize my worth. You remember that first job that you had that they were like, do not work off the clock? So when you've got that customer who's haggling you about those $5 or $10, they're basically asking you to work off the clock. If it's not a reasonable request, don't lower yourself. It is about quality customers, not quantity of customers. If you're making all these sales but you're making no money, what's the point? You've done stressed yourself out, you've overpaid for everything. Now you're giving it away for free for what? What's the point? So that they can tell their friends that are exactly like them, so you can make it basically for free again? No. Know your worth. Know your worth. Then I add in $1.50 to every cup in case of mistakes. So the reason I do that is because maybe I don't make a mistake on this cup, but maybe 9 cups down the line I make a mistake. Now I have $15 set aside for mistakes, and I could potentially even strip that cup and start all over again. Or say I'm running out of material and I need it now, like I can't wait for it to ship. You can also use that money for like a little bit extra as far as, you know, going that way. So now our total is $35.56. I always add in 10% for taxes. Now, I live here in Florida, so it might be a little bit different, but we don't have state tax, we just have sales tax. So definitely Google your own state and everything like that. Most people don't even think about taxes or set aside money for taxes. I personally do. So now my final cost is $39.12. We're going to round that up to $40 again, because remember, we did that the first time just for listing fees and everything. Now we have a little bit more of a cushion as well. The value of this cup is going to be $40. So I don't think that's bad. I think that would be what I would value it anyway. I know a lot of people say, oh, we'll do the ounces and then add $10. That technically would work good in this case. I would say 40 is a really good number. But also sometimes, like, if it takes a lot more work, if it takes a lot more doing and a lot more product, you might want to charge more for it. So don't just say, oh, well, 10 plus 30 is 40, so I'm going to charge that. Like, you could be underselling yourself. And then I would also, if they wanted vinyl, charge $5 extra to pay number 1 for the vinyl and number 2 for the extra coats of BT. That way I'm not shooting myself in the foot and giving away my vinyl or extra Bright Tone for free. So a question that I saw a lot is, how many cups can I make off a pint of Bright Tone and Extreme Protection? Every cup is going to be different, but if I use the same amounts for this cup on other cups, I would be able to make 12 cups of Extreme Protection, and I'd be able to make 15 for Bright Tone. Now remember, I did use a lot less Bright Tone than Extreme Protection. Well, thank you so much. That is it. I'm happy you stuck around to the end. I am sorry if that was rough. This is my first time, so hopefully I'll get better with practice. Next week, I want to do a peekaboo cup. So it is either going to be the Motherhood, a walk in the park, or it's going to be the Bee Tumbler. So go ahead, comment down below which one you would like to see. Thanks again for watching, and have a wonderful day.